us your salvation. Lord Jesus, come. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The Gospel of Mark, chapter 13, from verse 33 to 37. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch, therefore, you do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all, watch." The Gospel of the Lord. After I graduated from high school, I remember going to another state, this was in Nigeria, to go stay with my uncle. He's my uncle from my mom's side. He was working in an oil company, Chevron. And I wanted to go stay with him, to go, and because my idea was, this man is rich, I'm just going to go and enjoy his money and just relax and do nothing until I continue my seminary formation. But when I went to his house, I didn't even stay long when the man said to me, "You're not going to stay in the house doing nothing, that I'm going to help you to go find a job." I just graduated from high school. And I was saying to myself, what kind of job am I supposed to be doing? He said, "You're not going to stay home. You have to go find a job. At least you learn the culture of working and learn how to make money and save money." And he said to me, "Are you expecting that when you are going to go back to the seminary, that every dime, every money that you need will be given to you?" Well, to make a long story short, he found an agency that trains people. You go there and they will find out companies that are looking for young men and young women, and they will give you what they have. And if you accept, they will give you basic training so that you can go to that job. They don't really pay much, but it's enough for a boy who just graduated from high school. So when I got there, one of the jobs that they presented to me was to do some kind of security job in a bank. It's not really a security job. It's almost like being a coffee boy. But part of our jobs will be to sit by the door of the bank and just watch as people come in and go out. During my basic training, one of the tutors was always emphasizing two words. He was always saying to me and my colleagues, to be a good guard, a security man, you need two words: alertness and vigilance. And he tried to make a distinction between being alert, and being vigilant. Even though he said in English language, you can use them synonymously. They are synonyms. They are words that we can use interchangeably. Either you use alert or you use vigilance. But in his own dictionary, because of the work we do, he tried to make a distinction between being vigilant and being alert. And for him, I still remember this, to be alert is to be awake, not be sleeping. And to be vigilant is to pay attention. And he tried to tell us that you can be alert, meaning you can be awake without paying attention to what is happening around you. You can be alert without actually knowing when somebody walks in and walk out. That there are people who can be awake and yet be lost in thought. And so he tried to help us understand that this work requires you to be alert, meaning you have to be awake, you have to be watchful, and to be vigilant, paying attention to that door, looking at who is coming in and who is going out, paying attention to when they call you to go serve the bankers coffee. And brothers and sisters, as we begin the season of Advent, on Tuesday I began to reflect about this season. And I remember this story. I remember those two words, alert and vigilance. The season of Advent is a season of being watchful. It's a season of expectation. We are expecting something to happen. We are expecting someone important. We are expecting something big, something significant. We are expecting the birth of someone who is going to change the course of history. We are expecting God. We are expecting God to be born again. But this time around, not born in Bethlehem, but to be born again in our individual lives, in the life of the church, in the life of our families. And part of being alert and vigilant is to recognize that God is going to show himself in different aspects of life. If we are not alert and vigilant, we may not be able to know when God manifests himself in our neighbor. We may not be able to know when God manifests himself in the poor. We may not be able to know when God manifests himself in your spouse. You know, last Sunday we read this beautiful gospel from Matthew. And Jesus said, on the last day, when everyone will be gathered into two, and they're going to be separated. And some will be placed on his right side, and some will be placed on his left side. And those who will find themselves on the right side of Jesus are those who saw the hungry and fed them, who saw those who are naked and clothed them, who saw those who are strangers and welcomed them, who saw those who are sick and in prison and attended to them. And Jesus will say that to them, and they will say, Lord, when did we see you do all that? When did we see you hungry or thirsty or naked or sick and in prison and minister to you? And Jesus will say, when you did that to the least of my brothers or sisters, you did it for me. As we expect Jesus, as we expect the coming of the Son of God. This season calls our attention that Jesus can come in even in our enemy, the person we do not want to talk to. And Jesus can be born again in the events of life. And if we are not alert and vigilant, we will miss it. When I was in seminary, I remember this, one of my professors, he's a Dominican priest. And when he's teaching and someone is distracted, he will call your attention and he will say to you, truth is passing away and you better pay attention. If you don't pay attention, truth is going to pass you by. And brothers and sisters, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If we are not alert and vigilant, truth will come and truth will pass us away. And truth will move away from us. And so today, I want to invite each and every one of us to become spiritually alert, spiritually vigilant. We know that Jesus is present in the Eucharist, but Jesus is equally present in each of us. I hope you know that. We are called Imago Dei. We are created in the image of God. And Jesus is also present in our neighbors. Jesus is present in the poor. Jesus is present in the events of life. Jesus speaks to us every time. He speaks in our consciences. The conscience of each of us is a sanctuary of God where God speaks to us. And if we are not alert and awake, we may not be able to hear the voice of God speaking to us. And there are so many noises, there are so many voices that speak to us. But only those who are vigilant, only those who are alert will hear the voice of God. You hear me say this, that oftentimes when God speaks to us, he whispers. God is not a noisemaker. And he comes to us in a very gentle way. The devil is the one who wants to barge into your life. He doesn't knock. He doesn't ask you, can I come in? He doesn't seek your permission. He just barges into your life. But you know what Jesus said in the book of Revelation? I stand at the door and I knock. And if you open the door of our lives, the door of our house, the Lord said, I will come in and dine with you, and you will also dine with me. That is why alertness and vigilance are important in this season. Let us not go through the season of Advent like we have always done. It's a liturgical season. Yeah, we go through the emotions and celebrate Christmas. As we get ready for Christmas, you know, most homes now, the Christmas tree is already up. Decorations. We are cleaning our house, buying stuff. And when I went to Our Lady of Perpetual Help the other day, I told them on Black Friday, I was in Inglewood in my friend's house. And he wanted to buy some shoes for work. And he asked me to come with him, and we went to Skechers. And from there, we went to Fry's. He wanted to buy something. And when we got to Fry's, the number of people there was like from here to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And people were buying stuff, grabbing this TV. And I was saying to my friend, are you saying to me that all these folks don't have TV at home? And my friend started laughing. He said, because of that $10, discount. And I said, this is crazy. You know, we always want more. If we have a flat screen TV, we want the next time there is a new product in market, we want that too. We want high definition. From high definition, we want ultra high definition. From ultra high definition, we want the curved one. And we keep buying and buying and buying. And a lot of people are doing that now and racking up their credit card. And we are not even getting ready spiritually for the birth of Jesus, the coming of God. And so, brothers and sisters, as I'm preaching to you, I'm preaching primarily to myself too. I've told my friends that whenever I preach, I am preaching myself primarily and maybe secondarily to you. I'm talking to myself too. That this season, I have to stand up. I have to stand erect. And I have to be alert. And I have to be vigilant. And I have to remember what Jesus said. What I said to you, I say to everyone. Watch. Be vigilant and be alert. But spiritually, pay attention to God. Pay attention to the voice of God. Because, brothers and sisters, that's what matters the most. All these things we buy, new pairs of shoes, suits, TV, new car, all this stuff, they don't matter. I said to you last week, they don't matter. All these are things that are passing away. They're not going to follow us to the next world. If God calls me home, everything that I have in my room, I'm not going to go with them. And like I said Sunday, the only thing that is going to go with me is the quality of my love for God and love of others. What Jesus is saying to us today is this: watch, stay awake, and pay attention to God, because God matters the most. Amen.